Hi, everybody. Time for another midweek chat. I see my face as, half shade, half sun. So hopefully that's not too annoying. But you don't want me to just bake in the sun, do you? So anyway, welcome to another midweek chat. Get a little drink of water here. I won't make you watch me. Rainy day, but it cleared up nicely. And we are at June 12th, right? The 9th was the Sunday, 10th, 11th, 12th. Yep. So nice scene though, isn't it? Kind of an old barn there, and I'm not too far from St. Bede's, which they don't call St. Bede's anymore. They call it the Priory. The university bought it from the Benedictine sisters some years ago. I can't remember how long ago now. Maybe 15, something like that, or I don't know, 10, 12. I was just thinking we got to get to St. John's, have another trip out there. I planned a fall trip to St. John's, and then on the way we stop and visit the St. Bede's sisters who live at College of St. Benedict in St. Joseph, Minnesota. And we didn't get enough people to go in the fall of 23, so we'll try. I guess we'll have to just try again. I'll have to come up with a date and try to get them to reserve and give a deadline to folks, and we can do it. That'll be fun. So coming attraction. I got some other parish news. I wrote it down. Just a sec here. All right. I really can't get out of this shade, can I? Maybe if I'm all in the shade, that's a little better. How's that? And you can see the barn. It's good. Okay. Try to stay kind of still. Okay, so Vacation Bible School, summer. So we think about Vacation Bible School. It'll be July 15th to July 18th. Volunteers, we could use some more. We have a decent number of volunteers and a decent number of small kids, but we have room for more. So, but they have to know pretty soon because they have to plan for food and things like that. So be good, be nice, be considerate. And if you think you or your children might want to participate in that, let Kelly or Beth know as soon as you can, okay? That'd be good. Speaking of Kelly and Beth, they're going to Montana. I'm going to join them halfway through. Seems like there's about 20 of us. There's an organizational meeting last week, and it'll be good. It'll be good. It's really you can always, in any job, you can just sort of coast, and so we don't have any real coasters on staff. They always are thinking about ideas, things that can affect our parishioners in better ways, in this case, our high school students. And so I think Kelly and Beth are brainstorming that. I'm sure it'll be great. Speaking of brainstorming things to help people, we had a blast last year, those who went to the Express game. That's the semi-pro or what do you call it, a farm club? I don't know. It's the best, highest quality baseball in Eau Claire. Cavaliers are good too. But Express is like a bump up. Like they might play in the majors if you play for the Express. Anyway, we had a great time last year. We had the Deluxe Mancinos package last year. This year we're not going to do that, but we're going to have the fan deck, which allows you to have all kinds of food, burgers, hot dogs, unlimited soda. If you want beer, that'd be extra. All for usually $25, but Parish, because we want to, give people a little bit of a break. $20, and then the parish will pick up the rest. So $25, including one of mine. Tickets have been purchased, and there's 25 left. So it'll be 20 bucks a piece to be in the fan deck when the Express play on July 28th. Okay, so that'll be fun. And guess who's going? You'll never guess. Which staff person has the least interest in sports? It's actually, there's not a lot of sports fanatics on the staff, but I think the prize would go to Christine. And she is going to the Express game. So if she can do it, you can do it. Okay. Speaking of Christine, she was the staff person who went on down to La Crosse last Friday for the Eucharistic procession, the rally. That was called The Answer. We had cards around church and in the bulletin. And she and Judy went down, and they met Tom and Jackie by accident, I think, and had a good time as a foursome. I heard Carissa was down there with the group. I'm not sure if other parishioners were down there. Isaac was a server for it. I saw him. I watched it on Facebook Live, some of it. So, yeah. So the Eucharist, the body of Christ, the sacrament, is being processed from 4 corners of the country, and all converging in Indianapolis in mid to late July. And it started at our part that came to us started at the headwaters of the Mississippi River. And Bishop Barron of Winona, Rochester, was with Jesus, and the sacrament crossed, the Highway 1416 Cass Street Bridge from La Crescent, Minnesota into La Crosse. And then Bishop Battersby met him at the border, and then they walked together. And anyway, Christine said it was, she didn't really know what to expect, but she thought it was fantastic. She said just being at Mass, and she appreciated the variety. There are a lot of different people, a lot of different levels of piety, different types of piety, but everybody excited about Jesus and the Eucharist, and who knew the Mass parts. And she's at a pretty good congregation every weekend at St. James, so people are pretty active, but she said it was just extraordinary, when the presider would say, "The Lord be with you," and the whole, 3,000 people, however many people were in the La Crosse Center, and with your spirit, and the Lord's Prayer, and it just sort of took her breath away, I think. So, good. So I hope she's not bored when she comes back to just St. James. But so that'll end up. I think it just crossed into the Diocese of Green Bay today. It was in Wausau, or he was. When we talk about, I always just say it when of the Eucharist, but it's a him, right? It's a real presence of Jesus. So, okay. Anyway, so that was good. So we had some representation there. Speaking of outdoor celebrations with the Eucharist, our first outdoor Mass of the year will be on June 22nd, this Saturday. And it'll be kind of a special one because on the feast of the birth of St. John the Baptist, which is actually 2 days later, there's a tradition to have a bonfire, the John the Baptist bonfire. I think the idea is that it's like the longest day of the year, and you kind of, you burn a fire like on the longest day of the year, June 21st, but it's actually, a couple days later. And just have, sort of a pagan feast, I think. But a lot of pagan feasts were adopted and Christianized, and they made it the St. John the Baptist fire. So we'll have some prayers for St. John the Baptist. So we'll have regular Mass. Then you're welcome to stay for a grill out. Beth's going to get some hot dogs, maybe some marshmallows, some chips. And so that'll be fun. It's just nice to hang out, right, with each other after Mass. It won't be as elaborate of a meal as we have at Summerfest, but it'll be nice, something to chew on while we're talking to somebody. And then we'll build the fire and say some prayers with the John the Baptist theme. And Christine is eager to burn extra palms that we've accumulated. We haven't always used all of our palms on Palm Sunday, and we burned some for Ash Wednesday, but people have been really good about bringing their old palms in for us to burn for ashes on Ash Wednesday. So I'm always afraid of emptiness, of running out, so I just as soon have a closet full of old palms. Christine's less eager to have closets full of old palms, so we'll see how many get burned. Okay, and so that's good. I have a cube game. Everybody likes cube, right? I always think I'm going to be so good at it because I was okay with motor skills and sports in school, but I'm terrible at cube. I get so mad missing those. You have this little rod, and then you throw it at these blocks and you got to knock them over, and I just keep missing all the time. Maybe I'll get hot. Maybe I'll get hot on the 22nd. So, okay. Clean air test. Oh, so our kitchen remodel down in Work Hall is going along swimmingly. It's not cool. They were going to test. Anne's the one monitoring the progress most closely, and there's going to be a clean air test. Well, that's good. Okay. It's going to be a clean air test to see if the asbestos is removed from the tile and out of the air. And as soon as that is, then the kitchen can be opened up again and they can get to work on the other stuff. Sadly, they had to remove some foliage, some living plants, a big crab apple tree, which was an obstacle on the 8th hole of our disc golf course. Had to be cut down, along with some evergreen shrubs like arborvitae kind of things we had there. Apparently some machinery for the exhaust, the new exhaust system, has to be on a concrete pad outside the building, and guess where it needed to be, right where the tree was. So too bad. Yeah. So that could be the bulk of the parish news. I got a bunch of thank you notes. I just thought I'd highlight a few of them. So we give scholarships to I think really all of our parishioners who attend Regis Catholic schools. We know costs a lot, and so we offer like $200 scholarships per person, and maybe more for high school. I can't remember exactly. I should. Anyway, I just was kind of impressed with some of these cards. I thought I'd share. Some were kind of funny. Some just had beautiful penmanship. Look at this. Come on, who has nice penmanship like that? Isn't that great? Maddie does. So, man, I really admired that. I thought that was great. What's this one? Oh, this gets the Substance Award. It's also nice penmanship. Dominic, right? And he said, I'm really looking forward to having Mr. Snyder again. He's everybody's favorite teacher, right? He's a parishioner of St. James, teaches history. So, most of them said, thank you for the scholarship. I appreciate my Catholic education. Really sincere, good letters. But Dominic had a little more substance. He just kind of said, filled it out a little bit more. Thank you for the scholarship. Then he said, I'm really looking forward to having Mr. Snyder again, being able to participate in choir and drama practicum. I also have high hopes for cross country and track and field next year. Thanks again for this amazing scholarship. Anyway, that was good. You want to hear what they're doing, So he's into drama practicum and choir. And on this, I thought this was, look at this signature. This gets the best signature award. Come on, that's worthy of the Declaration of Independence, isn't it? What a signature. And such small writing. But that's from Janelle. She just said, I'm honored to receive this. Thank you for your generosity. I deeply appreciate this gift to help me pursue a major in biology. So she's already thinking about college. She wants to study biology. But look at that signature again, isn't it? Wow, I want a signature like that. That's awesome, Janelle. What else we got here? I got about 35, 40 of these. Did I? 20? I don't know. I forget. Oh, Joey, he sent a great one. He said, I attend Regis High School and I continue to get a Catholic education because I love all the teachers and love to continue to grow in my Catholic faith. Thank you again for this opportunity. Solid response, right? What's this one? Candy. St. James. Going to St. James, because she was with us at St. James Elementary and now in the middle school. Help my faith grow immensely. To continue enriching my faith at Regis High School truly means the world to me. Thank you for this opportunity. I like this one. This one's from Logan. So this is some guys, people, few words, but it's right to the heart, right? Thank you, Father Tom, for the scholarship. I'll be sure to help you guys out this summer with Summerfest, like always. So good. We'll look for you at Summerfest. Well, I got these cards out. I came across this. I got this. You see it? It's we just had recently the feast. I'm sorry, it's not looking good because of the. Can I block it? Maybe. Can I? Yeah, maybe that's better. You see that? It's just an image of the Sacred Heart of Jesus that I kind of like. I don't know. I sort of like the Byzantine icon look a little more, but I thought it was nice. And it had some nice words on the back. A little bit down on human nature on the back, but I liked what he said. He said, "You forbid me to despair." This is a prayer to the Sacred Heart. It starts, as bad as I am. I don't know if that's a great way to start a prayer, but maybe for some people. And a great sinner I may be, I must hope that I'll get to heaven. You forbid me to despair. You forbid me to ever be discouraged. I like that. That's something God forbids us to be discouraged. He's got his sacred heart there. He knows we're imperfect, we're weak. And he loves us so much. And all he wants is us to return that love and love one another. Okay. A couple things I want to say. How are we doing on time? 15? Yeah, we'll be done relatively early today. Give you another shot. I'm going to get another drink of water here. Took my bicycle out here. I set the camera up in an empty field. It wasn't that interesting, but there's a big flock of turkeys. I thought it'd be interesting to have turkeys behind me, but of course you get close and the turkeys go away. So I canceled those plans. So I read an article in the Associated Press newswire, and it was about, they have a religion section that I find interesting, and it was all about chaplains at the Olympics. I was going to look up the Olympics, but I'll leave that up to you. I suppose the Olympics will be in July. I don't know when they're going to be, but it's a summer Olympics year. It's going to be in Paris, right? Big deal that they got the Notre Dame Cathedral all fixed up. But they have this whole center, whole tent or whole building. I don't think a building, but like a temporary building for chaplains, 120 chaplains. It's a shared hall for worship, for counseling, for individual meetings. And the largest group with the most chaplains out of the 120 are Catholics. Priests, nuns, and lay people combined make 40. Okay. And the next most popular are non-Catholic Christians, or what we call Protestants. And there are 36 of them, 36. And then the next most populous, most denomination group with the most chaplains are the Eastern Orthodox. You know, being in the U.S., it doesn't get a lot of there are not a lot of Orthodox around, so especially in our part of the U.S. So I never really, but I came across a lot of that when I was in the Holy Land, especially on my sabbatical. And I really grew to appreciate it, their spirituality and their worship. And we can thank them for really being the custodians of those icons that I love so much. It's really much more central in Eastern Orthodoxy. Anyway, they're going to have about, I think it said 25 or 26. So, and then there's going to be Jewish chaplains and Muslim chaplains, Buddhist chaplains, and Hindu chaplains, but much fewer of those. So I'm not sure exactly how they must have just figured athletes and what religions they are and then prorated it and divided it up. I was surprised by this. Said there was a history of a great demand. I don't know if this was at the last Olympics pre-pandemic or total, but I think it was just the last one. It said the history, there's been a high demand for athletes seeking out chaplain services. 8,000 requests pre-pandemic. That's a lot of requests to talk to a chaplain. Aren't you a little surprised? I was surprised. And some neat things that I heard. They said, what do chaplains do? Well, they can offer blessings. You're going to run the steeplechase. You're going to throw the javelin. The next day, go to chaplain and get a blessing. You've trained to run the marathon or the mile or throw the discus, and you thought you might get a medal, and you just didn't perform well, and you weren't even close to getting a medal. They talk to people dealing with that disappointment. They've given so much training, and they basically lost. They didn't achieve their goal. And so how do you talk through that? Some seek a chaplain. They provide a non-judgmental listening ear, which I want to talk about in a little bit. And sometimes there's so many athletes over there, some of them will experience maybe the sudden death of a family member. And so dealing with those kind of personal crises. So that's what they do. Some stories that I really like to hear. So Buddhists and Hindus, they have the fewest constituents. They have the fewest there's fewest Buddhist and Hindu athletes. So and they're all given equal space in the tent. And they said, well, the Christians need more. I mean, so they gave the Christians half their space. So that's nice, isn't it? And how about this? The Jews and the Muslims, they made a special request that their areas of the building, the shelter, could be right next to each other. They said, in the midst of all this, the Gaza war and all the hostility that people hear about in the news between Jews and Muslims, we want to show that we can get along just fine. We both believe in God. We want to love our neighbor. So isn't that great? It just shows, if you take politics and money and quest for power out of the equation, we can all get along just fine. So that's too bad. Yeah. So, what was I going to say? Me and Poole. Superior. The Buddhist. Oh, I thought it was interesting. So, the Orthodox say when they counsel someone before a competition or after, one of the basic beliefs in Orthodoxy about life, according to this Orthodox priest, he said, if you don't advance, you go backwards. One has to always make progress. So it's kind of like, you're here, you got to advance, you got to do better. A little pressure. And the Buddhist was like the opposite, It's the Buddhists talk about detachment, like we shouldn't get really attached to anything, and we're not really in control, and everything that happens, kind of has a precondition to it, and it's not that they're, deterministic solely, but they're a little bit, let's not get too angry about anything. Let's not get, let's deal with pain calmly, and so they said, just let the spirit, we train and we do our best, but the superior energy in the universe will decide what happens. So it eases the pressure, according to this one Buddhist minister, it eases the pressure on these athletes to do an almost superhuman performance. Because it's all up to God anyway, so, and yeah, so we'll see. I was thinking when I read that when I was in college, I played pool every afternoon nearly with my friend Vince, and he was from Seattle, and we'd meet, and we had these great matches. We played to 150 straight pool. Anyway, I got a little too into it. I mean, I would think about it at night when I was going to bed. I should have been pondering, the Renaissance or whatever my history class was. But I'd be thinking about pool, and when I'd miss, I'd get so frustrated, And so it wasn't Buddhist, a Buddhist-like thing. I took this course in Stoicism. It's like, well, when you're shooting, give it your best and try, because you have the ability to affect what happens when it's your turn. But when you're not, it should be like a walk in the park, because you can't control anything. So I'd get, I guess I have to admit I was kind of hoping he'd miss, so I could, or I'd think about my shots, or if he'd make a hard shot, I'd be like, oh, just kind of eat me up. And anyway, I heard this new thing about, when you're shooting, care. When you're not shooting, don't care. Kind of this Buddhist detachment a little bit. And so I got less upset, but my game got worse. It got a lot worse. It just kind of, the intensity of my competitiveness, it blunted a little bit, so I didn't play as well. So I don't know. I wouldn't bet on the Buddhist athletes. I'm just kidding. I'm sure they'll do great. Katie Ledecky is Catholic. I think she's an active Catholic. She'll be a great swimmer. I think she's still on the Olympics. Simone Biles. She had a Catholic grandmother, and she used to carry around a rosary. I'm not sure she's still doing the Catholic thing. I don't know. I don't mean this in a judgy way. She married, that Green Bay Packer, who's now a Chicago Bear, Jonathan Owens. And they got married, and it was not a Catholic wedding. When they got married, I looked up, where's the wedding? It was outside. It was on a beach somewhere. So which is, But, so I don't think she's still, actively Catholic. Maybe in her own way. Maybe she still carries her grandmother's rosary with her. I don't know. I just want to say a little bit about, when we're talking about those chaplains, unconditional positive regard. So when I was in Seattle, I did that mental health work at the Community Mental Health Center. And on the side, because I was a student, I would read these books about different schools of psychology and counseling. And then I would talk about it with my supervisor, Joan. And Joe and I worked with, but Joe was my supervisor. And anyway, one was this Carl Rogers, and he was like the founder of, I think they called it humanistic counseling or psychology. And his key was unconditional positive regard. And I've forgotten about that. It's a nice thing. So when you're a counselor, just to talk through, when somebody comes to you, just to receive them warmly and, how are you today? And you're regarding them positively. You love them. You want them to thrive. You understand their failures. You're patient with their weaknesses. You have unconditional positive regard for this person. And the assumption of this school of thought was that person will grow. Whenever we're received by another person with love and unconditional positive regard, when people receive us warmly and aren't judging us and aren't criticizing us and aren't telling us what's wrong with us, but that will make us flower as human beings. It doesn't mean you can't make an observation. It's like, well, I think maybe make a connection with this and maybe work on that. But that the personal warmth should flow through from you to the other, and that will help the other heal any psychological wounds and the other person become more whole, And I thought, wow, that's really good. And it's a little bit like the gospel coming up this Sunday will be the farmer sows seeds, and he goes to bed, rises, goes to bed, rises, and on this whole time, the seed grows. He knows not how, it says in the Bible. He knows not how. And it's kind of like that with this unconditional positive regard. It's like we're meant to be loving, generous people, and sometimes we're born into circumstances, or but greed and selfishness, or just a lot of difficult circumstances get the better of us, make us fearful, make us greedy, make us afraid to lose what's ours, so we get pretty self-centered. But if we're in a community of love and life and acceptance, that we grow and we heal. And that's a little, remember last week, the veterans, I was talking about the veterans, that those who had a lot of trauma from combat said that the key for their healing would be able to tell their stories without fear. And when they're listening, to listen without judgment. So to be able to tell our stories without fear and to listen without judgment. And that sounded a lot like Carl Rogers' theory of unconditional positive regard for people. So maybe just take that thought with you today if you're so inclined. I will, because I forgot all about it. It's been 30 years since I thought of Carl Rogers and unconditional positive regard. But the next person you meet, just kind of, greet them warmly. Archbishop Hunthausen from Seattle, Father John Hegel knew him, and after he retired, he said, "So, Dutch," they called him Dutch. What are you doing with your retirement?" And he said, "Not much work." He goes, "I'm practicing the art of the benevolent gaze." I'm practicing the art of the benevolent gaze, which is just when you look at people, to look at them with kindness and with love, and then when we interact, to try to do the same, right? So, can't lose. Sounds like a good thing. Okay, all right. So we'll leave it at that. We'll let you look at this bucolic scene for a moment. And we thank our God for our lives. We thank our God for summer. We pray for Dick Zeithamel, who died early this morning, and a surviving wife, Jean. The funeral for Dick will be on Tuesday. There's always life. There's always rising. There's always dying. And Lord, help all those who are experiencing loss trust in your ultimate mercy and resurrecting power, foreshadowed by this beautiful field in green. Peace, everybody.